Things in the garden are about to change in a big way. We are getting new raised beds and finally getting rid of the big tree stump so we can set up our garden and be all ready for spring planting. We are losing the sun, but this is about how much we got done today. The two trees around the big stump are down. I chopped up most of the branches on one of them. The other one is still hanging out, and I gotta chop that one down. But got a couple really good piles of sticks and branches that we can use for something. So the piles of sticks that we have, we can use for either filling up the raised beds, or I can dry them out and use them for firewood later in the season if we don't use them to fill our raised beds, which I might do because I don't feel like I have a lot of access to other things that I could use to be that base layer, because you would want to put like big stumps, smaller sticks and twigs, leaves or other organic matter, grass clippings. I might do just whatever I can get my hands on when I get my raised beds in. We'll use that to fill and then put some topsoil on top. That is going to be our method to have sort of a cheaper way to have our raised beds. And we'll just sort of see how that works out. But it's been a really fun day outside. We got to watch a lot of birds. We've got some birds that are nesting now in that birdhouse gourd. It didn't work hanging on the old Christmas tree. It just was all dried up. So that will just end up being organic matter to be compost or something else this year. But the birdhouse gourd is a hit, and I did save some seeds from when I made my birdhouse gourd. So hopefully we can grow some of those this year and have a lot of beautiful gourds come fall time. So huge accomplishment today, getting those two trees down. I did sort of dig into the stump a little bit, and it seems like it's kind of soft on the inside, so it might not be that hard actually to take it out. We'll just have to see once I get to that stage. Today we are getting our new garden beds.
I was really lucky to be able to source these cedar raised garden beds from someone on Facebook Marketplace who's making them locally. I realized that there were a couple things in the garden that I just didn't have the skill set or the time or the tools to do on my own. Building the raised garden beds was one, and grinding the stump was the other. I am so thrilled that I was able to work with some local folks who are able to help with getting the garden stump removed and ground down. The woman that I work with did a really good job of doing not just the stump, but the area around it to really get at the roots around that very large tree stump that were still very much intact. And you can see I've got some beautiful wood chip mulch now to work with for building my raised garden area.
I'm excited to finally be getting out into the garden today. So I have a bunch of these cardboard boxes that I've been saving up really ever since I moved in, but also like any deliveries that I've gotten. In particular, this one is Imperfect Foods or Misfits Market, which is what I use for my grocery delivery. They do a really great job of rescuing food that would otherwise go to landfill, and it's just a great way that I can give back to the environment and also get a discount on some groceries. So I am going to use some of these cardboard boxes to line the inside of my garden beds, and also I think to put down the beginnings of a pathway, depending on how ambitious I want to be today. For now, I'm just going to cut them all open and see where that gets me, and also remove any like big sticker pieces. In an ideal world, I would remove all of the tape off of all of the boxes. I don't know if I have that don't know if I have that in me today, but when you are putting together your raised beds, you can choose to remove all the tape. That would definitely serve you well in preventing microplastics from getting into your soil. So as you can see, doing the best that I can to remove stickers and labels and all that jazz. Don't really have an illusion that I'm going to be able to do this perfectly, but let's just see what we can do today. Because the main goal of today is to just get outside, get some fresh air, move some dirt around, and see if we can start to envision the garden taking shape. There's a lot of work still to do, and this is probably the last decent weather day that we're going to get. It's supposed to be, well, it's wonderfully sunny right now, but it's supposed to go back down into the 30s and then the 20s next week. You just gotta love Ohio weather. You just never know what you're gonna get. I mean, unless you're always expecting snow, then, you know, then you'll just be mildly surprised whenever we don't have it. But yeah, definitely this past week there's been a feeling of, oh, maybe this is spring, and if you thought that, you were wrong. Anybody else live in an area with a full spring? We for sure get that every year. And it's cool to be able to reuse these cardboard boxes. It is kind of heartbreaking when you think about the culture that we live in and how many things get delivered in cardboard boxes and how many of those cardboard boxes get theoretically recycled and probably end up in the landfill. Some of these boxes I was able to reuse as moving boxes when I moved to my house, and I'm reusing them again in the garden. So not a circular system by any stretch of the imagination, but doing my part, doing what I can. Okay, so I think that gives us something to work with. Let me figure out where to start. Okay, I think the next move is flatten this out as much as possible. Add my layer of cardboard. Oh, look at this shovel. All right, so I think there's still too much mulch in this pile for me to really get into evening out the area for the garden. So I'm going to start by moving some of the mulch, maybe laying down some of the boxes for simulating where the path might be, and then we'll see where we end up if we run out of time or if we can get back to the garden beds. I was feeling really good about my progress on the pathway, but the snow has really started to pick up, and so the time that I can spend on this project is really limited now. I'm going to need to wrap this up kind of quickly. Wish me luck.
In order to design this pathway, I walked back and forth several times across the lawn. I didn't have any specific markings or anything on the ground. I just sort of was going with what felt right. I wanted to have a natural curve that led from the garden all the way back to the main garden gate, with the idea that eventually I'd have other pathways that connected. I lost a bit of footage here as it got really snowy and my phone died, but once it was sunny again, I was able to come back out and finish the path.
Welcome to spring in Ohio. It is 34 degrees, but that's not going to slow us down. There's a lot of fun things that I want to do today with the garden set up and starting some seeds. So let's get into it. One of the first things I want to do today is finish spreading out some of this mulch and get our garden planters in place so that we can really sort of visualize what the garden's going to look like when it all comes together. I did debate for a while if I wanted to go the extra step of trying to lay down cardboard underneath all this mulch to prevent weeds and grass from growing up, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Maybe if there's any bare spaces, like I'm planning on going further out this way with the bed, I will go ahead and put a cardboard layer down there. But otherwise, I think my plan is just going to be to leave a really heavy layer of mulch, and hopefully that kills out the grass underneath. Still knowing that I probably will have to add more layers of mulch in the future as weeds and things start to grow into the garden space. So let's get this guy out of the way. So now I think I'm going to try and figure out the placement of my beds. I was originally thinking one on each of the four sides, but now that I'm in the space looking at it and seeing the beautiful path that we put in, I don't really want to do that anymore. So now I'm thinking two at the back, one on either side. That way we can have an archway in the front. And then of course over time all of this can of course change. Who knows? Who knows, 5 or even 10 years from now if I'm still going to like the same setup. So just gotta move fearlessly. Just gotta get started and hopefully it'll all work out. So I'm gonna try and level the ground here. I do kind of wish this one was over a little bit. right, I think that's gonna be it for today. We did get all the beds roughly in position. Even if they're not perfectly level, I can go ahead and adjust that later on before we fill them up with soil. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. If you enjoyed this video, got value from it, please go ahead and like it and hit the subscribe button. I will add another one of my gardening videos here for you to watch until next time. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.